Hello, my name is Eliza Sylvia, and I am a current graduate student here at the University of Guelph. I'd like to welcome you to the Ontario Agricultural College Convocation Ceremony this morning. The University of Guelph is honored by our graduates, and we take great pride in this convocation. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the proceedings today. The ceremonials used for conferring degrees have evolved over a millennium, and the gowns and hoods represent that history. In general, the gowns for the baccalaureate and magisteriate degrees are black, and the color of the hood is different for each degree program. The doctorates at the University of Guelph have a bright blue gown, and the honorary degrees are red. The University of Guelph crest, which you see on the curtains behind me and on the front of your convocation program, also represents our specific history. The emblems in the crest show links to the royal city of Guelph through the white stallion above, the connection to the liberal arts through the book, to the sciences through the astrolabe, and our connection to abundance in agriculture through the cornucopia. The University of Guelph motto, Rerum cognoscere cosas, is a quote from Virgil. It is variously translated to be either happy is the one who is able to ascertain the reason of things, or perhaps to know the meaning of things. The procession of people into the hall are also influenced by ancient tradition. The piper will herald the start of the procession of graduates, the students who are coming to graduate today. This will be followed by the arrival of the mace leading the platform party. The mace is a symbol of authority of the university and will be carried by the beadle. In medieval universities, a beadle was chosen by the instructor to work as an assistant. Today, the beadle is the ceremonial officer of Senate. Following the beadle and mace is the chancellor and president, members of the administration and honorees, fellows of the university, members of the board and senate, and members of faculty and staff. The degrees will be conferred in the order that you see in your program. The degrees are separated by categories representing the specific degree being awarded within the college. The name reader will present the scholars to the president and chancellor by degree category. As the name of each student is called, the beadle will place a hood over the recipient's shoulders. This moment will be videoed, and technology willing, there will be a simultaneous live cast of the event to allow family members and friends to watch from a distance. The president will greet each student at center stage, and a photograph will be taken. We understand the joy and excitement that accompanies such an auspicious occasion, but we ask that you hold your applause until after each group of graduates has crossed the stage. There will be an opportunity for a truly thunderous applause. Once all the degrees are conferred and all the cheers are cheered, the chancellor will close the ceremony and a recessional will play. Please remain standing until all of the recessional during the recessional until all of the platform party has processed out of the hall. Our colleagues from Alumni Affairs are hosting a social media program developed especially for convocation. Please share your photos, memories, and advice with graduating students by joining us on social media and using the hashtag GuelphGrad. Finally, may I be the first person to congratulate the graduates on their various successes and offer my congratulations to the family and friends who are here to support them. Welcome to Convocation at the University of Guelph.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land, glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
As we gather today to celebrate these graduates, we pause and reflect on our place in this world. We begin by acknowledging the Attawandaron people on whose traditional territory the University of Guelph now resides. And we offer our respect to their Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Métis neighbors as we strengthen our relationships with them. On this day that marks the end of a journey, we give thanks for friends and family who have walked with us. And we are grateful for the classmates, faculty, staff, mentors, and administration who have supported and led us along the way. I invite you, each in your own way, to take a moment of silence to recognize that for which you are grateful, or to offer a prayer. As we leave this university and embark on a new journey, may the knowledge we gleaned here be coupled with wisdom, that we might contribute to the flourishing of this world. May wonder and compassion motivate us to marvel at and investigate a rapidly changing world, and to enhance the sustainability of all things. May our world resonate with peace. Amen. I invite you to be seated.
Good morning. I am delighted to officially open this 2017 University of Guelph Convocation Ceremony and welcome everyone here. President Vaccarino, members of the board, honorary fellows, faculty, staff, family, and friends of the graduates, today, as we celebrate the achievements of our graduating class, I'd like to offer particular welcome to our convocation speaker, Nigel Raine. Who I'll introduce shortly. My name is Martha Billis, and I have the honor of serving as Chancellor here at the University of Guelph. And what an honor it is to be here today, back at the University of Guelph, my alma mater. I think back to when I was in your shoes, proud to be a Mac Institute graduate and anxious to take on the next challenge around the corner. Problem is, we do not always know what is coming or how we're going to get there. Today I want to instill in you a belief my Dean Margaret McCready instilled in me years ago. She was full of advice, but most often she said, "Remember, ladies, you are Mac girls, and Mac girls can do anything." And she was right. I stand before you today to proudly and confidently tell you that the education I received here gave me the wherewithal to go out and strive beyond what I thought I was capable of. Since the days of the founding colleges, the University of Guelph has been a leader in practical education focused on the whole person. The university has fostered an environment that encourages its community of students to aim higher, to make things better, to be more productive, to turn preconceived notions on their head, to make a difference, to improve life. My education opened up doors and offered windows on the world I could not have imagined. Half a century later, those things are still happening here at this fantastic institution. Graduands, your windows are waiting. It's your turn. Your turn to make a difference and to improve life for ourselves and for others. I know you can do it because you are, after all, a University of Guelph graduate, and you can do anything. Good luck to you all. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Franco Vaccarino, and I have the honor and the great privilege of serving as the president and vice chancellor of this great university. Graduates, this is your big day. You have worked hard, you've persevered, and you've made it. Well done, well deserved. Think fast. Think fast. We've all heard that expression. You don't often hear anyone telling you to think slow. Think slow. But my main message today is twofold. Think fast and think slow. As a psychologist, I'm naturally inclined and interested in cognitive sciences and neuroscience. As well, speaking as a parent of university-age children, I believe your minds are actually different from those of your parents' generation. We see how you absorb information, how you interact with and through information technology. Young people are very, very, very good at coping with lots of information and shifting their attention in doing so. Fundamentally, your brains have adapted to a very fast-paced world. Today, we are navigating a river of knowledge, one that is growing larger and flowing faster all the time. New ideas are coming at us at an absolutely unprecedented pace. There are new innovations, new ways to connect the dots, new ways to understand our world. We need to process more and more and more information in the same amount of time. We need to think faster. We might call that fast thinking reactive thinking. Reactive thinking is a kind of tactical thinking. It's the kind of thinking that helps a driver negotiate the twists and turns of the road from moment to moment. But of course, there's another kind of thinking, another kind of thought process. Reflective thinking, or slow thinking, takes a more strategic view, a broader view. Not that I'm suggesting you think more slowly in the literal sense. I'm really talking about a different kind of thought, a different way of approaching problems, a different channel of thought than tactical or reactive. In our fast-paced world, universities are increasingly important places for both kinds of thinking. Reactive or fast thinking that addresses the now, and there is plenty to deal with in the now. But also reflective thinking that rises above the here and now to take the long view, consider the broader context, to consider tomorrow, day after. As students at the University of Guelph, you've benefited during the past few years from an environment that has challenged your own thinking. An environment that nurtures freedom of thought, expression, and inquiry. an environment that promotes and supports openness to new ideas, one that invites varied perspectives, different perspectives on a problem or on an opportunity. We've tried to encourage you to exercise both reactive as well as reflective thinking. We've stressed the kind of thinking that enables you, of course, not to just provide the right answers, but importantly, to ask the right questions. Those questions are becoming more and more important. We've looked to nurture thinking that is disciplined and thinking that is interdisciplinary, that draws upon diverse experiences, draws upon diverse points of view. That kind of thinking is ever more important today in a world where the challenges and the opportunities we face are certainly larger and certainly more complex than ever. Now, big problems and big opportunities need lots of minds thinking together on solutions. And not just like minds, but also unlike minds. Minds from varied perspectives, varied backgrounds, different angles. You know, there's a proverb that I'm attracted to and I very much like, and it goes something like this. I think it's an African proverb. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. You are about to explore and discover the next phase of your lives, including, I hope, finding ways to improve life for others around you and in the wider world. So go together, think fast, and think slow. Thank you very, very much.
I am pleased to invite Nigel Raine, Professor and Rebanks Family Chair in Pollination Conservation, to now give the convocation address. Nigel?
Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity to address the convocation. Chancellor Billis, President Vaccarino, members of the board, fellow faculty, family, friends, and most importantly, the graduates. Congratulations on your successful completion of your diverse, interesting, and important programs of study. Today is the culmination of many years of diligent hard work, assimilating, evaluating, and synthesizing information to support arguments, to express evidence-based opinions, and to draw valid conclusions. You've worked with your professors, your mentors, and your friends to hone and refine your abilities to think and to learn. And perhaps individually and culturally, we value this substantial and continued investment in educational exploration. Why is this? Perhaps the answer lies in a deep-seated understanding that learning allows us to adapt to change, and that as people, we are extraordinarily fortunate to be able to call upon the collective understanding of those who have gone before us as a backdrop to our own efforts to innovate and to learn. Standing on the shoulders of giants is perhaps as important now as it's ever been, with environmental change occurring at unprecedented rates. The skills you've acquired will continue to learn will help us face up to these substantial and pressing challenges. One of the biggest challenges we face is how to sustainably feed a growing population, estimated to reach 9 billion people within the next 30 years. This is clearly a multifaceted problem, requiring us to challenge current practices around food production, distribution, consumption, and food waste. Understanding these complex and interconnected problems and offering innovative and practical solutions are one of the highest priorities across the University of Guelph, including my own work on wild pollinators. Understanding these, so why should we care about conserving pollinators? Roughly 1 in 3 mouthfuls of the food that we eat depend on the pollination services provided by bees, flies, beetles, butterflies, and wasps. The activity of pollinators are critical to provide economically sustainable yields for some 75% of the world's food crops. This includes, when you go to the grocery store, it includes most of the fruits, the vegetables, and the nut crops, including many essentials that we need, such as coffee and chocolate. Perhaps less immediately apparent, the activity of pollinators affects important constituents in animal feed, so it also supports the meat and dairy production industry. When we look at economic valuations, global valuations of crops affected by pollinators or influenced by pollinators are estimated to be around 700 billion Canadian dollars per year. Our reliance on these crops is increasing, particularly in the first world. So over the last 50 or so years, we've seen a 300% increase in the volume of agricultural production dependent on pollinators. So it's safe to say that we need pollinators to support sustainable food production. But it's not only food. The activity of pollinators is critical to support plant diversity and healthy ecosystem function. Almost 90% of the flowering plants around the world rely to some extent on animal-vectored pollination to reproduce, making pollinators also essential part of natural ecosystems and wider cultural values. These interdependencies result in a rich tapestry of beautiful flowers that we obviously all appreciate, and equally stunning pollinators, and we're lucky enough to see, at least for now. Albert Einstein is famously misquoted: "If the bee disappeared off the surface of the globe, then man would only have 4 years of life left. No more bees, no more pollination, no more plants, no more animals, and no more man." Whilst this is certainly an exaggeration, it distills the essence of concerns arising from increasing evidence of global pollinator decline, so I'm sure you're all aware of, having read the media coverage. At what stage do these pollinator declines become insufficient to become sufficiently significant to result in reduced crop production or wild plant reproduction? Historically, our landscapes have provided the food and the nesting resources that these wild pollinators need to survive and to thrive, and provide their pollination services to farmers and growers essentially free of charge. Human decisions to alter the environment in recent history have reduced the overall availability of suitable habitat and also fragmented what remains, accelerating pollinator declines and hastening the mismatch between the supply and demand of pollination services for fruit, vegetable, and nut crops. Our long relationships with the honeybees over many thousands of years and their apparent agreement to live where we put them in artificial beehives offers us the ability to place large numbers of managed pollinators in specific crops where and when we choose. This solution can provide the necessary pollination services for many crops, but can also result in a drive for increasing the scale of honeybee production systems and beekeeping operations. We see this south of the border in the US, where operators move many thousands of colonies on semi-trailers from crop to crop across the country, potentially exposing them to more pesticides, to more disease, and to poor nutrition in multiple monocultural crops. We're seeing echoes of this in Canada now, with recent substantial increases in the number of honeybee colonies that are being moved from Ontario to the Maritimes to support pollination of blueberry producers. We're doing this in the knowledge that honeybees are not as good at pollinating blueberries as native wild bees. However, they're a sticking plaster, they're a band-aid. You put enough honeybees in blueberry fields and they'll provide adequate pollination to produce a profitable crop in the short term. However, this solution is ultimately unsustainable, as global expansion in the area of crops dependent on insect pollination like blueberries is fast outstripping the expansion of honeybee keeping and the honeybee keeping industry. Perhaps more worryingly, we know that a single species, which people have taken all over the world like the honeybee, cannot replace the wide diversity of wild pollinators, nor the pollination services they provide locally to different ecosystems. In Canada alone, we know of around 855 bee species, with a total species number across the world exceeding 20,000 now. These wild bees provide critical pollination services to food crops that simply cannot be replaced by that single managed pollinator, the honeybee. In reality, the solution to sustainable pollination is ensuring we continue to meet the needs of wild pollinators in our landscapes and to restore the nesting and food sources needed where they have been too far denuded. The good news is that such approaches to restoring and conserving habitat to support pollinators in agricultural landscapes can in fact deliver sustainable pollination services for profitable farming. Factoring in the costs of establishing pollinator plantings, the benefits of greater numbers of wild pollinators in blueberry crops supported by this new habitat can result in increased profits for farmers over around a 3 to 4 year period in Michigan, studies have shown. And in Alberta, studies on canola pollination also support the view that farmers can benefit from not planting areas of less productive parts of their farm, rather leaving those marginal lands available to support pollinators. Enhancing the pollination services on farms in this way can result in higher yields on other fields, suggesting the optimal balance it may be to leave up to 30% of the farm area unplanted. This opens up fantastic opportunities for the management of these areas of alternative habitat to support not only pollinators, but also other beneficial insects. Insects that may feed or attack crop pest insects, and obviously other wildlife. In doing so, we have the opportunity to restore and conserve a range of other ecosystem services in addition to pollination in agricultural landscapes and obviously beyond there. As you might expect, I spend a substantial amount of my time considering the challenges bees face and what they can teach us. When a bee leaves its nest for the first time in the search of food, her first priority is to be able to find home again. She turns and she takes a look back at the nest, and she makes increasingly wide arcs of flight looking back to fix the local landmarks and commit those to memory. Then she flies off to explore and locate a patch of rewarding flowers. The first search is guided by innate preferences such as things like flower scent, flower color, and flower shape. As a rule of thumb, bees approach blue or purple objects typically, and in natural landscapes there are very few blue or purple objects that are not flowers, so it helps them to find flowers and actually to find relatively rewarding ones that provide comparatively large amounts of nectar. However, bees quickly appreciate that there's variability amongst flowers in the rewards they offer and amongst flower species. They rapidly learn to associate salient floral cues like color or scent as predictors of these higher levels of reward. And these cues can be tied to a specific location or time of day, and the bees respond flexibly to the flower species that grow in different locations and changes in flower sources over the course of days or weeks. Furthermore, they need to learn the different ways in which they have to move petals when they access flowers and how to contort their bodies to access the nectaries and to collect the sweet nectar, and how to buzz the anthers to collect the protein-rich pollen from each flower. Sometimes this can take bees a substantial amount of time, maybe hundreds of flower visits to hone these fine motor skills. These time investments in learning how to handle and extract rewards from flowers and the substantial energy costs of flight make bees smart shoppers. They quickly reject flowers providing nectar of low sugar content or less pollen, linking up their visits to flower patches to fly as short a distance as they possibly can to save energy. Thus, foraging bees are continually learning and problem-solving in a dynamic world. Yet, from a human perspective, they do this using a comparatively tiny brain that contains just 1 million nerve cells as compared to our whopping 100 billion cells in our own heads. These tiny brain creatures learn all the time from their own experience. They can use minute-to-minute updates on social information from hive mates, on the best food sources in their environment, and potential new nest sites, or social information from other bees in the field on which flowers to visit that they're attracted to and which ones to avoid. These cognitive abilities seem to come particularly to the fore when conditions become tough. Therefore, not only does the plight of the bees reveal some of the pivotal environmental challenges we face as a society, but also some of the solutions. We must continue to explore our options, to use the information we gain to learn about the world, and to know when to use our own experience and when to rely on the wisdom of the hive. I feel incredibly fortunate to have been able to spend my career studying these essential animals. They have come to symbolize industry, community, and great reward. Bees and their intimate relationships with flowers have taken me to live and work on 3 continents, during which time I've also had the opportunity to explore a wide range of environments and cultural perspectives. As graduates of the University of Guelph, you have already learnt a great deal and honed many valuable transferable skills, and I would encourage you, obviously, to continue in this vein. Continue on to explore, to take opportunities to immerse yourselves in different cultures, communities, and appreciate their perspectives and alternative ways of thinking about the world, and revel in the joy of continuing to learn. Think about what bees can do with their tiny brains and how important they are to us and to the world. You all have great big brains. Go out and do something that makes a difference with them. Congratulations on your graduation. Well done on all your hard work. As you go forth into the world as ambassadors of this great institution, think of the humble bee her industry, her tenacity to work at solving many problems, and the sweet rewards all that tenacity and hard work brings. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Rain, for that inspiration, that wisdom. Perhaps it was a last lecture for us. I assure you there's no quiz or exam following that. Thank you very much for that. Fascinating. My name is Rennie Van Acker. I'm Dean of the Ontario Agricultural College, and I welcome you graduates of OAC. Will the graduating class please rise? Madam Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you these scholars who have fulfilled the statutory requirements laid down by the Senate of the University of Guelph that they may be admitted to their various and several degrees.
By virtue of the authority vested in me and in the University of Guelph, I hereby accept you for admission to your various and several degrees, with all the rights, privileges, and obligations appertaining thereto.
Will members of the graduating class please be seated? Good morning, graduates, and proud family and friends of the graduates. I'm sure everybody here is very excited and perhaps a little bit relieved. Certainly happy to see your graduate walk across the stage and be greeted by the president. And you may want to express your emotions in some audible manner. This is perfectly fine, and we welcome it. And please do so as loud as you want, in any way you want. But, well, maybe some limits. But may we ask that the general audience please hold your collective applause until after the presentation of each of the degree programs. Thank you. Madam Chancellor, Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the Ontario Agricultural College that they may be admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Arts honors. Caitlin Michaela Anderson. Anita Laura Rastapkevichis. Madam Chancellor, Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the Ontario Agricultural College that they may be admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Commerce. Jacob Arth. Emma Ray Berger. Graham Joseph Burton. Ying Tsai. Vanessa Lynn Crowley. Emma Corinne Drake. Tyler John Ashdown Durst. Paige Lillian Hansor. James Edward Hanna. Jason Hutima. Maria Teresa Bernadette Knapp. Makola Condra. Victoria Louise Kyle. Chantel Christine Eva Limegard, with distinction. Keping Lee. Emily Norma Linton. Chia Ki Leo. Angus Alexander McLaughlin. Morgan Alexander Lang Moffett. Yin Chak Horlick Eng, with distinction. Andrew Wirt Pate. Lucita Tea Pronk. John Hendrick Pruim. Deanna Frances Ringelberg, with distinction. Thomas Brian Scott. Scott William Darrell Spears. Divya Sundarajan, with distinction. Adam Vanderzeg. Bryce Edwin Van Groothiest. Madam Chancellor, Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the Ontario Agricultural College that they may be admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Science honors. Mina Abu Hanna. Shelby Otterhoff, with distinction. Renee Benzik. Adriana Venezia Bianco with distinction. Evan Mitchell Blakeney. Alexandra Mary Grace Bonner with distinction. Colin Booth. Benjamin Lucas Bocek. Mackenzie Burgoyne with distinction. Sabrina Boyle. Elizabeth Ann Brazina with distinction. Casey Burridge. Alexandra Marie Camara. Vincent Chalifot. Ruby Ann Chow with distinction. Hugh William Colbert with distinction. Madeline Collins with distinction. Alicia Korlevich. Nicole Doust. Matea Joanne David Steele with distinction. Anise Ruthann DeColova-Tulk with distinction. Megan Michelle Donati with distinction. Melanie Adele Eady. Brianna Sarah Ellis with distinction. Ashley Elkarut. Kathleen Elliott. Tina Esferiani. Brittany Ann Fleming with distinction. Sarah Marjorie Gallinger with distinction. Vanessa Mary Gargano. Nicholas Genova with distinction. Sarah Louise Giacomantonio. Claudia Garus-Zinska. Kayla Paulina Diane Graham. Carly Merlane Hughes. Alicia May Humphreys. Bradley Jacobs. Aishwarya Joseph. Jeffrey King. Amanda Elizabeth Lamb. Kristen Nicole Lamers with distinction. Derek Dawson Lasevich. Soon Yin Alex Lau with distinction. Ying Lei Li with distinction. Devlin McKeegan. Marguerite Main Prize. Michelle Nicole McAdams with distinction. Carly Ann Ray McCarthy. Nicole Brittany McCausland with distinction. Cassandra Lynn McGarry. Carrie Kathleen McMullen with distinction. Taylor Elizabeth Morris. Michelle Alexa May Murphy. Reed Alexander Nicholson with distinction. Dejan Novoselski. Vanessa Jade Oliver with distinction. Sarah Dawn Parsons with distinction. Logan Patterson. Victoria Ann Picketts with distinction. George Elliott Reisman. Allison Dorothy Robitaille with distinction. Kristen Ann Roman with distinction. Allison Jean Sauter. Amy Elisa Shute with distinction. Arthi Senathi Raja. Samantha Surgenes with distinction. Courtney Alisa Shala with distinction. Erica Jean Cholin with distinction. Alexandra Snelling. Emily Lauren Stiver. Devin Patricia Stober with distinction. Melissa Octavia Subrata. Katya Andrea Kunzler Sutherland with distinction. Samantha Kathleen Ann Taylor with distinction. Kendra Lynn Thornton. Sierra Vigna. Caitlin Miranda Jacqueline Walsh. Lydia Ming-Chi Wang. Ashley Jean Weber. Jamesina C. Yin Wong. Jenna Lynn Wood with distinction. Mubashira Zaidi. Lin Zhou with distinction. Please join me in congratulating all of our graduates. Madam Chancellor, I would ask you to confer the various and several degrees on the graduands listed in the program, but unable to be present at this ceremony.
By virtue of the authority vested in me and in the University of Guelph, I confer the various and several degrees in absentia on the graduands not present.
Well, graduates, you did it. Congratulations. Terrific. Let me take this opportunity to welcome all of you now to the Griffin alumni family. This is a growing family. This week, more than 3,400 new graduates are joining that University of Guelph alumni group. University of Guelph alumni, you should know, now number more than 140,000 graduates around the world. As you can imagine, we're all very, very proud of your accomplishments here at the University of Guelph, and really do look forward to seeing how the foundations that you've developed here as students will continue to support you in the years to come, in your future. We want to celebrate your achievements, celebrate your successes, and do hope that you'll stay in touch. Remember that you're always, always welcome here at the university. Graduates, you've made, I'm sure, all sorts of memories here at the university, including today's ceremony. And remember this as well. You are a student for a relatively short time, but you're a Griffin forever. Congratulations. So this concludes our formal convocation ceremony. The College Dean will host a reception for all graduates and their guests in Creelman Hall right next door here. This really is an opportunity to mingle a little bit, congratulate the graduates, and we do hope that you can attend. And now, the final word is from our Chancellor.
Convocation is dismissed.
Well done.
Congratulations, everyone. We know you're going to go out and do great things. We hope you'll come back and visit often, inspire us with your achievements, maybe at homecoming or alumni weekend or just any time you feel like visiting. We're going to ask a little favor of you. We're going to ask you to leave from the doors at the side at the front here with the students going out first and the families after. While you're out there, get lots of photos and show them around the place. And then when you're done, return your gowns and hoods to the tent. And I'm going to ask one more thing of you right now. We're going to do it one more time. You ready? Turn it up this time, graduates. Woo! Now you're free to go.